Welcome back to Round 5 commentary at the OC Hive Mind with your boy Sparky. I'm here with Victor. Say hi, Victor.
I don't know what day it is. Good to see you, Sparky.
Today's Thursday. We're recording the night before. We got Bobby and Darian. Bobby doesn't appear to have a deck list, but I'm being told this is a living end. And Darian is on Boros Energy.
I was the spotter for this match. I didn't know what Bobby was playing, and they were already in the swing of it. And I'm like, I'm not gonna make him while he's in the middle of shuffling.
Sure, yeah, I get it. It's fine. Um,
Nice little surprise.
yeah, it's a nice little surprise for some of the viewers and some other people as well. Shotgun and breeding pool.
Even if you did just spoil it 30 seconds ago, but that's okay.
It's fine. I mean, your opponent shocks in a breeding pool. What else could they be playing?
Good point. But what's funny is when he did that, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then eventually it clicks. But at
I mean,
first, I'm like,
you can see by some of the cards in his hand and what's
oh,
going on.
remember I'm sitting opposite of him, so.
Oh, I'm not sure if you're watching coverage while you're sitting there. That's what I normally do, so I can
Oh no,
see everything.
So funny thing for me is if I'm spotting, if I watch the screen, I actually feel like I miss more because I just blank out because I'm just staring at a screen,
That's fair.
you know. So for me, if I'm trying to help everyone, with the play stuff and recognizing, when to call things out.
That makes
It
sense.
definitely helps.
Notably for everyone else, we don't have records on the screen, but Darian is 3-0-1 with a win here. He takes first place. And a huge bombardment on Darian's side. Love to see it. Our opponent's
Yeah.
cycling some stuff. I wonder what he could be doing. Oh,
Yeah,
and he just
off the
drew it
top.
too, off the
Yeah,
top.
off
That's
the top
unfortunate.
for the.
Bombardment's one of the best cards you can draw for this matchup, 100%.
I'd wager it's the best card to draw. I don't really think there's a more impactful card in this matchup. Obviously,
Um,
the creatures like that come in and kill you, but there's
Thraben Charm out of the sideboard if Darian has it is huge, but I do think Bombardment gives you the most game one. A Blood Moon from Darian here would also be huge.
I couldn't
He
tell
has
if he
only
had one.
I see a
Flage.
Flage. I definitely see a Flage. I'm not sure if he's got a full art. Ooh, baby. Love to see it. Uh-oh.
I do remember thinking to myself as I'm watching, because remember, like, obviously I'm completely impartial, but as you're watching it, especially when Darian played the Blood Moon, I'm like, if he doesn't force this, I don't know what he could possibly have. And then he besaged it, and I'm like, man, this sequence really, rolled out in a manner that didn't leave Bobby dead to rights. Because I don't know if the resolve Blood Moon, if anything happens at that point, because I don't think you can cast either of the spells anymore. Correct?
It really depends on some of the cards that Bobby has. Like you see him cycling a Generosent here, like he would have been able to find the green source, and then if he's able to somehow find the blue source, I think that gets him at least to Charlotte's Agent. Um, Granted, he had the Besageuse and none of it really mattered. The only thing I would do differently a little bit from Darian's side is if I probably only have one more Blood Moon left in the deck, but I probably would have found a Plains in case I see the Blood Moon, so that way I can like play a Flage and then escape a Flage later. But I guess he's just trying to dig to a card. He left it on top. It's an Amped Raptor. Um, I don't mind it here, and you get to set it up. Like if there's something good on top, you can set it up with that Parlor. Out of these two decks, what do you think? I think Living End is favorited, right?
I just was reading some stuff on one of the Reddits talking about the tier lists. So let me pull it up. According to the tier rankings, against Boros Energy, it's actually a 48% matchup. So, Boros is favored, technically speaking, but not by much. So, you know what? Those are always like fun matchups to me because that just means that with those small percentages, that's where your deck knowledge and your play skill kind of allows you to like, take swing that match in your favor.
Yeah, it would seem that Darian didn't have an aneurysm and understood how to stack his triggers so he can get to 3 energy here.
That is a beautiful energy token.
It is a very beautiful energy token. Sometimes you just gotta unleash the beast. What I don't like is that these creatures are not long for this world. Oh my gosh! Ugh.
Oh,
I honestly don't believe it. That is one of the awesomest things I've seen all day. I wasn't privy to what happened in this match because we were away in DC for the weekend. So the second Goblin Bombardment off the top is so big. Um, I don't think
oh
this is
my.
good for Darian at all.
Um, ye-
Because what do we have? Like a Waker? I see a Waker in the graveyard, right? There's a Generous End. Uh, I believe there's also a Curator of Mysteries. Like there's a 4/4 flyer. Like I believe
there's a
Bobby's guys
lot.
are so much bigger than Darian's creatures, but that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, as soon as this play sequence had come back up, my memory came back into play, and I was like, oh, I
Uh,
don't think it's like because if you think about it, Darian would have had like a couple guys come back, and the energy would have been there, which might have been
I
relevant,
mean,
and then
let's
Bobby
take
did
a
that.
second. Let's take a second and talk about how many things Bobby had to have to win this game, right? So like the first force was pretty good, but it didn't matter with the endurance, right? He had to have the Beseiju to make sure he could cast the spells, and then having the endurance there. That's a lot of it's a lot of hits.
And listen, you know what? Especially in these, but like I said before, in these small percentage matchups, that's going to be the difference maker, to who's pulling out of the game and who's not.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a couple things that Darian can do. Why does the endurance look so much different?
That's actually a good question. I don't know.
Like it looks like it's a different color, right? Are all the other ones shiny
Uh,
and the endurance isn't? Like they're all foils?
that's possible.
Just looks a little weird.
Just camera things.
I
Maybe
did the
our
math. I did the math so no one has to do it at home. Darian is dead to this attack. Darian, I did the
uh
math already. Don't worry.
the One Ring says he's not dead, but I don't believe he has a One Ring.
Yeah, guys, I did that math already. I helped you out. um, Flage is not enough to save you there. That's a little unfortunate. Um, Going into the sideboard for these games, I'm not really quite sure what Bobby wants to bring in. I like the Thraben Charms from Darian's side, the Reprieve. I would also do the Ghost Vacuum. Like, just make sure you hit everything. He's got it looks like one of Orm's Chant, two Thraben Charms, and a Reprieve. But I think I would bring in the Vacuum as well. And then
Yeah,
from Bobby's side, I think there's a Brazen Borrower. I think there's a Commandeer, an Endurance, possibly another Force. But I think that the deck would have 4 forces in the main deck, right?
yeah, I'm not sure of Bobby's exact numbers. I know that looking at some of the lists online, they fluctuate nowadays between 3 and 4. just
Hmm.
because there's just so many cards now that aren't necessarily blue. Um, so sometimes that switches around. I'm not sure how I feel. I don't remember how many commandeers Bobby had main board if he played any main board. I don't know how I feel about the one commandeer. I have such a love hate relationship with that card. Playing with it during the time of the beans meta, I certainly understood why it was necessary for it to be there.
Hmm.
But I feel like it's kind of tough because you're commandeering probably the One Ring is like the best target to have.
I
So
I would
for
agree that the
me, it's
One Ring is
tough.
the best card. It's different if like Darian's deck was like built to like play the One Ring early. Like I can recall Ian in one of the matches playing against Steve, and I think it was on camera where like Steve went like turn two One Ring and Ian pitched two blue cards and then commandeered the One Ring and took it and then like drew
That was a
six
brutal
cards
sequence of
off of it.
events.
Yeah, so like your opponent, like their entire gameplay for the first two turns is to set up this like awesome card and then like commandeer like kind of steals it from them. That I kind of like. Whereas here, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with the commandeer. You're not taking any creatures because it's a non-creature card. You're only taking like what, a blood moon. Do you want to steal them blood? Do you want to steal their blood moon, or do you want to counter their blood moon, or stop it? Like,
Yeah, I
um,
think I think Bobby did mention it afterwards in the match that he doesn't mind commandeering a Thraben charm, which I get it because if you're in a situation where you're going for the win and they go for the Thraben charm, it is like almost depending on the situation like a must counter card. So it's not a
here's a
bad
little my
hit.
problem. Here's a little my problem with that specifically is that you need to have two other blue cards in hand that you haven't already tried to use,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I'm
So
like
like
I'm still not a fan of it.
that's where I'm kind of iffy. Where it's like, oh, so you're telling me you just weren't cycling dudes, or you just like left Force of Will? Like, sure, the Force of Will strand in your hand with the Commandeer, those kind of like buddy buddy, but you need to have another blue spell. Well, there's one out of the deck. I do think that plays more scary from the Storm side because they can win on two and they're already starting off on two. But in my eyes, that's just another mountain.
Yeah, I don't know how many lists as far as living in is concerned because I know there are a few people out there still tinkering around with living in, and it seems
Hmm.
like it's pretty diverse in the flex spots. I'm
Yeah,
not sure how much that really gives you in the overall sense of it, but
that's fair. It looks like
hey,
we
listen,
have. Let me see. I think that's a subtlety. I definitely see one or two forces, and I can't make out the other two cards from Bobby. But early Ragavan, definitely something I like to see. Ooh, and Darian has a Thraben Charm rolled up in hand. Monkey comes in, steals the land off the top. Love to see it. And we enter the Bitcoin market. I think there's a cycler. I think one of those last cards in Bobby's hand, all the way to the left, is a cycler.
oh, it could
Maybe
be
there's two.
the the Rex. I can't think of his name. You cycle it, you give a creature trample.
Titanic Rex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. That's what at least it looks like, but we'll find out soon enough, maybe.
Yep.
Otherwise, maybe we'll never know. And that's
Ooh,
just one of life's mysteries.
those are three pretty cards and one ugly Sacred Foundry.
It's kind of embarrassing. I didn't want to tell Darian that. He gets a little sensitive about it, but I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. How dare you make all that money and not spend it on Magic cards? Oh, it looks like it's a. Oh, it's the green evoke destroy.
Oh, Foundation
Artifact
Breaker.
Foundation Breaker. Thank you.
Yep, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely comes in. Bring the beats. Turn them sideways, Big D.
That's a nickname I haven't heard for him before, and I don't think he's very accustomed to it.
No,
But you know what? Maybe we can help him out.
we're going wide.
Hey, it didn't matter. Didn't have to worry about the commandeer anyway. Unless Bobby's got more, but
Yeah. What do we got? 7 permanents. Nice little Johnny here would be nice. Ooh, we got a guide. Not playing the guide. Okay.
I understand it. You're worried about the living end. You don't want it to necessarily be a one-sided board wipe.
You were correct about the Titanithrex.
Oh, look at me. So interesting. Bobby does run more than one commandeer. Not sure how I feel about that.
Like there could be one in the main, one in the side, kind of a thing.
I don't know if I'm bringing in the second one then. That just seems like so much resources when you're already,
I mean,
getting a
ironically,
face.
he's sitting here with 2 forces. So like this is one of those times where it is relatively important. I think that's a static prison.
Yeah, but it's tough because I mean, look what he's looking down at. A little creature army that will, put a lot of pressure. To me, it's tough.
Flash in subtlety. I understand Darian didn't do anything with the Guide of Souls, but it would have been nice to see. Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that one. I think the Pride's where you're going to lose the game, unless he is completely stacked up.
Yeah, if Bobby had a Cascader, I think
I
I
think
would have.
it's yeah, it's the evoke creature, it's a commandeer, and 2 force of negations right now. So I think I try and go for broke here, and I just dump what 2 creatures onto the board. That puts us to 8, or we're at 8. We need 2 creatures to get to 10. 4 lands, 2 treasures. Ooh, okay.
If I remember this line that was taken correctly, I didn't agree with this at all. Yep. Okay, that is what I. Yeah, to me, this was like I just didn't see a lot of merit. But yeah, just getting back to it, let them communicate it out a little bit. But
Yeah, that's fine.
did not.
I think I
Just watching that on the table, I really did not see how that was going to be beneficial in the long run. I get that you got to remove um the creature, but one, this was a possibility of a thing happening, but
yeah.
it just didn't feel. You're going to lose your subtlety. I don't know if it's worth protecting your subtlety over, especially when you run 8 board wipes in your deck, theoretically.
That's correct. I mean, I do think no, please tell me. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. It's 100% his.
Yeah, it is.
It's Darian's, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Also,
6,
a
7,
bad
8,
reason to
9,
commandeer your
10.
opponents.
Yeah. And then we just missed 10.
Yeah.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Okay. He's got a blocker. It makes sense. I do like the don't pay for static prison, exile your blocker. Mm-hmm.
Luckily for Darian, he saw it too. Just can't remember his cat triggers.
Yeah, just got to pay attention to the small stuff, man. He drew a blood moon. Let's make sure he plays the blood moon. I do like the dash the Ragavan because you can get to a point where you can have enough energy next turn no matter what happens to pay. I do think you're jumping the Ocelot Pride.
Ironically, in that form of communication, Darian didn't get any useful information conveyed across.
Yeah, I'm not exerting this. I'm putting the spell on the stack. Like it's yeah. You gotta say
Just
dash here.
funny, just funny, just thinking about the verbiage he used there, looking back on it.
Yeah.
Jumps the Ragavan though, or I'm sorry, jumps the Ocelot, just
Yeah.
like you had hoped.
Yeah. You put him to 3 and then no. Do not cast it. In my second mate phase.
If to be fair, if Darian didn't have Blood Moon, I don't hate it.
No, I think
You got a lot of
if you
hits.
don't have the follow up Blood Moon, I think you're okay. 100%.
Ironically, he forgets to count his static prison again. Not that it mattered, but
Yeah. Does he make a? He doesn't make a treasure token because he made a treasure token this turn.
So I thought about this,
And then he doesn't. And then he doesn't gain life for the cats and gain the energy.
No, he missed a lot, but
It's
unfortunately,
okay. I mean, like there's
they're
a lot
beneficial
going on in the
triggers.
deck.
So
No,
yeah.
I fully understand. But
So actually, here's a fun judge's question here because it's hard to when you talk about the treasure thing, right? I had noticed that he didn't make the treasure, but here's the thing: it's hard. Like, I wonder what a judge would say, and this is for all the judges out there. Technically speaking, the topmost one was the one that came into play that turn, and he removed it to cast the Blood Moon.
I mean,
So
I fully.
but hold on. So my point is that what would a judge say that the token that was created this turn is no longer there? Because remember, you do have to have the token that was created in play for that to trigger.
No,
So
I fully agree with that.
so it was an interesting moment, and I thought about it. And obviously, I'm not a judge. I'm just trying to spot and just help with interactions that
the
I do
correct
know.
call. I think the correct call is what you said. Like, you made the token, you put the card on top, you sacrifice the topmost token. That's not there. So yes, I agree that the token for the treasure probably doesn't get made. But I think if you were at home who's trying to pick up this deck and play stuff like that, and you possibly have triggers like Ocelot Prides and stuff like that, make sure you're going to announce the trigger, because once the trigger resolves and it goes to resolve with the city's blessing, if you put the stuff in, you still have to maintain the rest of the trigger. If I'm correct, correct? So like if he has the city's blessing, he still has to double the amount of tokens. He can't just put one in because it's part of the resolution of the ability.
Personally, I don't know the answer to that question. I would think that if I was a player sitting down and I call a judge, I would think the answer is that it would just be a game rules warning because you had demonstrated that you were trying to resolve the trigger in the what you thought was the legal manner, but you did not. And usually in situations like that, it usually ends up being a warning.
Yeah, but the
So
city's blessing is public information. You can count how many permanents your opponent controls. So like
yes,
that's a known quantity.
yeah,
Looking at
not
Darian's
not
hand,
sure.
I'm not sure if I want to keep it with the one ring. I don't think he. I think he's got maybe 2 lands, and it looks a little slow with the parlor. And then you also have to make the decision of like how do you beat Living End on the play? They're gonna go turn 3 Living End, so what's really your choice?
Not that I had too much experience with energy. I only played it for a few tournaments. I mean, you do have some starts where sometimes it's just guide and ocelot, and that's all you need, and then you just wait until something happens. I don't think Darian's hand
I
had
think
that, but there are some
yeah,
2 card combos in the deck that just say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm gonna do it until you stop me."
yeah. A lot of what the Boros Energy deck does is just try and put cardboard on the battlefield, whether it's tokens or actual cards from your hand. Like you're just 2 for 1ing, and then seeing if your opponent can deal with it. Ironically, your opponent playing a 3 mana Wrath spell is dealing with it. So this is one of those interesting matchups where you can kind of just steal wins playing the Living End deck, depending on what your matchup is. Ooh, I think that's a 1-lander. You hate to see it. But, you know, sometimes this is what happens. When you're playing an aggressive deck, I do think if your game plan and your plan to beat your opponent is being aggressive, aggressively mulliganing is probably a smart plan. Like Victor just said, like 2 lands, guide, Ocelot Pride is probably more than enough to beat most people. And then you follow that up with a Johnny, that's 5 cards right there. And you can cast all of them. So I don't think that's that bad. Nice cut. Did we go down to 4?
Very
Is
kind
it
of Calvin to speed up.
an
That's like
interesting cut?
it's like when you cut a cutscene in the middle of a video game, and
Yeah.
it turns out the
Can
cutscene
we
was
skip
like.
the cutscene? Oh, there was no cutscene. Got it.
uh,
I do see
we do
Goblin
we do love
Bombardment.
Calvin.
I see a Pride. Always don't put the bombardment to the bottom. Oh, okay. I drew a land. Probably would have shipped one of the lands. I can't see the rest of his hand. It looks like he's got a bunch of lands in his hand. Oh, he's got a Flage. I would have shipped the Flage and kept the bombardment, man. I don't think there's a point where Flage coming in and out of play is going to matter.
It could, because if you think about it, the living getting to play the Flage, the living in means that there's a constant source of just helixing. At least
Yeah,
it's
but I
some
think I
number.
think the bombardment like makes it so that your board comes back, and like it gives him a turn 2 play. I don't think he has a turn 2 play in his hand. I can't see all the cards, but I think apropos of nothing, I think the Goblin Bombardment on 2 at least forces Bobby to have a force or a way to deal with it. It looks like Darian's got 2 lands, Flage, and nothing else. Oh look, it's the endurance that we didn't want. Okay, maybe Darian was a genius. Draws another land. Love to see it. Fine basic planes. That makes sense.
I'll tell you what though. From commentating on these matches and then on the weeks where I spot too, my memory's terrible. I have no idea what happens after this. It's like rewatching it all over again.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Darian's just gonna pass the turn. Like I said, I looked at his hand and I don't think he has a 2 trap, unless that's an Amped Raptor. I'm a
Aha!
genius.
You doubted him.
I mean, like it didn't look like it was a card, so
I completely agree. Oh, hey.
hey, look, he's a genius.
Is that J. Robert Oppenheimer playing across from Bobby Benson?
Yeah, it's gonna be real sad when all 4 of those pieces of cardboard go away. Boo. Play fair.
Also, wasn't a big fan of that play either, because, I mean, granted, you get the Sky
He's just
Turtle
trying
back.
to. Oh, he's missing the land. Okay. So here's an interesting line. Okay, now I don't mind the Flage. Because Flage can kill your cat token. So you attack first with everything, do the maximum amount of damage. And he didn't play the land. Oh my gosh. Okay. Never punished. If we have a fetch, find the other planes. Just in case. Down for 5. 14 to 17. Okay, Darian, see the line. See the line, baby. Don't play the Ocelot Pride. Whatever you do. Play around your Blood Moon. Find the planes. Shoot your cat token. Flip a Johnny. Plus a Johnny. Ship the turn. Says the guy that has Force of Negation.
Plus the Ajani though, or
Yeah,
zero the Ajani?
no you plus the Ajani because if he living ends, you can wrath his field to one creature.
Okay, I could see what you're saying there. All right.
Because if he hits the land, let's go. Called shot.
I wouldn't celebrate too much just yet. I kind of forget what he does with the Planeswalker.
I mean, it was like half of the game plan that I had. Okay, Darian, we need to talk. Your opponent can wipe your board.
Didn't matter.
Well, we got bailed out by our opponent not drawing lands.
Hey,
I mean,
it's exactly as Mr. Garfield intended.
Darian's line gets him dead quicker, but if Bobby has a land there, I think he has one of the cards already. If Bobby has a land there, I think we're just dead. So,
I don't disagree. I do not disagree after hearing you say it. So, it makes sense to me. But
just bring the beats. Get in for 4. We do a total of 7 this turn. Please plus the Ajani. Mother of God. Hold on a second.
I think it
no. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a fetch. Okay, now it doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't matter because we can buy back the Flage if our board goes. And the Flage is a red permanent. It does 3, and then we do 2 more, which is 5, which is Xaxes.
Well, you have to remember that the living end, it would come back in and put Bobby to 1 anyway.
That's true.
Actually,
but we
still has a flash, and then he just gets to bring it back. He loses 6 either way. At this
point,
that's true. The first time, totally agree. The second time, it wouldn't have mattered because again, the Flage being in the yard. Now, granted, Bobby does actually have endurance, but this is the one thing that I was kind of thinking in my head: would this become a problem of trying to? It's having to have all these weird answers to the different parts of the deck. It felt like Bobby's deck was just trying to do too much, while Darian was basically like, my game plan is the same. I'm gonna just keep putting.
I also think that no matter what happens here, you just put the card into the bin. Like, there's not a card on top that I would want to keep over having a Flage come out of like maybe it's the One Ring. But, like, my opponent hasn't played any spells, so... Endurance? Okay. So, Bobby's got he's representing Brazen Borrower here for the... I think we attack first.
Yeah, I mean, even like, I think I talked to Darian after this. The representation of the of the Brazen Borrower doesn't matter for the
Ooh, did
combat
he say it
part.
resolves? Oh, he's just dead. Okay.
Yeah, he was dead either way, but
Yeah, that makes sense. But if your opponent tell you it resolves, they don't have an ability to bounce the amp traptor at that point. They have to do it with with the ability on the stack. But hey, good games. Another Boros victory. Don't forget to check out our store. Don't forget to like and follow, share, subscribe, and comment down below. I've been Sparky. Say goodbye, Victor.
goodbye, Victor.